Welcome back to the Commodities Institute podcast. I am Emily Costa, and today is Monday, March 30th, 2026. We are seeing a world where traditional alliances are shifting, where energy infrastructure is under literal fire, and where the very soil beneath our feet is becoming a battlefield of economic interests. Let's begin today by looking at the metals sector, which is currently the epicenter of a massive geopolitical tug-of-war. In Central Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo has just deepened its ties with China, signing a deal that focuses on geological data sharing and the promotion of local processing. This is a significant development because the Congo is the world's leading producer of cobalt and holds vast reserves of copper and lithium. For years, the United States has been trying to court Kinshasa to secure these battery metals for the electric vehicle transition, even signing a strategic partnership back in December. However, this new agreement with Beijing feels like a direct response to Washington's influence. The Congolese government is clearly hedging its bets, trading mining access for security backing and investment while refusing to pick a side in the ongoing rivalry between the world's two largest economies. While the struggle for minerals plays out in Africa, the physical reality of war is hitting the metals industry in the Middle East. Over the weekend, Iranian strikes targeted two of the world's largest aluminum smelters, Aluminum Bahrain, or ALBA, and Emirates Global Aluminum in the United Arab Emirates both reported damage. These two companies are massive players, accounting for about 9% of the global supply and serving as critical providers for the global aerospace sector, including giants like Boeing and Airbus. Because the Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed due to the conflict between the United States, Israel, and Iran, these producers were already struggling to ship their metal. Now, with physical damage to the plants and a record high Midwest aluminum premium of $1.10 per pound, the pressure on the global supply chain is immense. Moving from the heat of the smelters to the cold logic of the energy markets, we have to talk about the carbon and power sector, specifically regarding Russia's position. President Vladimir Putin has been suggesting that Russia might halt liquefied natural gas deliveries to Europe immediately and divert those volumes to Asia. It sounds like a powerful threat, but the reality is much more complicated. Analysts are pointing out that Russia's options are actually quite limited by the sheer physics of shipping and the structure of their long-term contracts. About 70% of the volumes from the Yamal project are tied up in contracts that don't allow for easy diversion. Furthermore, shipping that gas to Asia requires specialized ice-class vessels to navigate the Northern Sea route, which is only open for part of the year. During the winter, these ships have to take the long way around the Cape of Good Hope, which could require an additional 25 to 35 tankers that Russia simply doesn't have yet. It's a reminder that in the world of commodities, rhetoric often hits a wall of logistical reality. Interestingly, this need for energy security was the dominant theme at the CERAWeek conference in Houston this week. After years of focusing on dividends and share buybacks, the world's energy giants are suddenly racing to find new oil and gas reserves. We heard from executives at ExxonMobil, BP and Equinor, all of whom are trying to slash the time between discovery and first production. Equinor is even aiming to bring projects online in just 2 to 3 years, instead of the traditional 5 or 6. There is a palpable sense of urgency because the industry has only been replacing about 25% of its annual production lately. As fields mature and the war in Iran continues to disrupt the Middle East, the hunt for organic growth through new discoveries has become the top priority for the first time in a decade. Now, let's pivot to the oil market specifically, where the headlines are dominated by a surprising move from the White House. President Trump has signaled a reversal on the Cuban oil blockade, stating he has no problem with any country sending crude to the island. This comes as a sanctioned Russian tanker, the Anatoly Kolodkin, carrying between 650,000 and 730,000 barrels, nears a Cuban port. Cuba has been in a desperate state, with no oil arrivals in 3 months following the fall of the Maduro government in Venezuela and the subsequent blockade. While Trump still maintains that the Cuban regime is finished, He cited the humanitarian need for cooling and heating as a reason to allow the shipment through. This shipment could provide about a month of energy for the country, a vital lifeline as they face an escalating health and energy crisis. However, the broader oil industry is feeling a different kind of squeeze. Even though Brent crude prices have surged 53% since late February, we aren't seeing a massive spike in new drilling. This is a bit of a paradox. Usually, high prices mean more rigs, but the security risks in the Middle East have sent activity plummeting. In the Gulf, the offshore rig count has fallen 39%, down to just 72 rigs from over 100 in February. Service companies like SLB and Halliburton are bracing for an earnings hit because producers are waiting to see if these high prices are durable before committing to new projects. It's a wait and see approach that is being exacerbated by rising logistics and insurance costs in the Strait of Hormuz. This caution in the energy sector is having a massive ripple effect on agriculture. We are seeing a significant shift in planting intentions, particularly in the United States. Because fertilizer prices have skyrocketed, urea is up 40% and anhydrous ammonia is up nearly 20%, American farmers are moving away from corn, which is nitrogen intensive. Analysts expect corn plantings to drop to about 94 million acres, while soybean acreage is expected to jump. It's a simple matter of math for the farmers. Soybeans just don't require the same level of expensive inputs. We are also seeing the lowest spring wheat planting since 1970. In Ukraine, the situation is equally tense, but perhaps more resilient. Despite a 65% jump in domestic urea prices, the government says the spring sowing campaign for 16 million hectares is not in jeopardy. They are facing a massive financial burden, but so far there are no force majeure factors stopping the work. They are currently in the very early stages, with only the first 200,000 hectares sown. Finally, in the dry freight and soft commodities world, Indonesia is hitting the brakes on its plan to impose windfall taxes on coal and nickel exports. They were supposed to start tomorrow, but the government is still debating the technicalities. Meanwhile, in Brazil, the coffee cooperative Cuba is expecting a much better year, with a 12% increase in coffee bags received. However, the war in the Middle East has changed their strategy. They've officially scrapped plans to store coffee in Saudi Arabia due to the instability. It is a world of rapid shifts and high stakes, where a drone strike in the Gulf can change what a farmer in Illinois decides to plant a month later. We will continue to track these developments closely as the geopolitical landscape evolves. If you found this episode valuable, be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review.